Good morning, crew. This is a video to recount the events of the 18th of August in the year of our Lord, 2024, here in Carnarvon, Wales. And we did virtually nothing on the house with Isvren on this Sunday. So I think Sarah ended up vacuuming a couple rooms, and that was pretty much it. But what happened, actually, it may have been one of the most productive days that we've had here. Would you say that, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a fair,
amazing.
fair assessment? So we had scheduled a breakfast with some friends of ours who live on Anglesey, who we've eaten breakfast with before, I've talked about. And we usually meet them in Menai Bridge at a little restaurant there. And we spent 3 hours with them. We had breakfast, and then we went for a walk and had a lovely chat, and just had a really good time with them. And then when we came home, actually the previous day, somebody had shoved a couple flyers through our mail slot. And these flyers, I don't know if you can see them, say, "Let's eat." And what it says is, I will read it out loud, but I'll leave it up there in case you want to pause it and read it yourself. Summer Street Party in the Snicket. Bring your own dish at 3 p.m. on August 18th. And so I looked at it initially and thought, oh, that looks like fun. Block party, right? And I messaged our neighbor and said, hey, what's up with this? And he goes, we're not going to be there, but it's a good place to meet people. So we went down there at 3, and it turns out it was a street party for basically the neighborhoods, like our street and the next street over, pretty much. And Snicket, I did not know that word. And it's funny because we asked a bunch of people, what's the Snicket? And none of our neighbors actually knew what the Snicket was. So we looked it up online. And apparently it's a word coming from the north of England. Is that right, Sarah?
Mm-hmm.
Meaning a narrow, small alleyway. So we were like, we wandered down to the narrow, small alleyway that fronts the wall to the north. And lo and behold, somebody was setting up tables down there. And so we ended up spending hours. So we went down there at 3 o'clock and just chatted with all the neighbors, and people came and people went. And then things started closing down. It was after 7, right, Sarah? When things started.
7:45.
Yeah, it was like almost 8 o'clock. And then the neighbors who bought the house 3 doors down that we had the offer on, who are a couple named Bridget and Susan, and they invited us over to walk through to a tour of the house. And so after that, we walked over there, and then a couple other of the neighbors came as well. And we did a tour of the house that we almost bought with them, and saw what they've done with it, which is really nice. It's just lovely. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful house, and it's significantly smaller than Isvren. In some ways, it would have been great, but yeah, it's. I think things worked out for the best. I mean, it's actually perfect for them. They're a little more arty than we are, and they've decorated it beautifully with original artworks. Yeah, it looks great. Actually, it fits them perfectly, I think. Would you say that, Sarah?
Yep.
It fits them perfectly, where I think this house fits us a little bit better. So anyway, so then we finished that, and we said, well, if anyone wants to see our house, they're welcome. So everybody came down, and we walked through Isvren, and we it was quarter after 10 when everyone left, and we went to bed. So yeah, we met probably 2 dozen people at least, and and then found out there's a WhatsApp group for the neighborhood that we got added to, and let's see, there's a couple with 2 kids who are late teens, 2 daughters who actually Airbnb some of their properties, and Catherine was the woman. Actually, we didn't meet her partner, but she had a ton of advice and really thoughtful things. I talked with her for, I don't know, half an hour about the house. So she came over and walked through it with us, and she had some good advice. Also, the neighbor, I didn't realize this, but when we ran into the problem, our cleaner didn't show up, and the next door neighbor, Jan, said her cleaner came and cleaned for us. Turns out Chris and her daughter, her cleaner, actually lives at the end of the block down by the church. And she is actually an artist who does, catch and kill work here and there, and really interesting woman. And her daughter's 18, and she has done property management. And she said she was interested in talking with us about taking on, some sort of role with Isran. So we're going to. She was leaving this morning for a camping trip, but she's interested when we come back in October in having a conversation with us about what she'd be willing to do and what how that would work. And so I really liked her, actually. I thought that might work. Yeah, and actually, Catherine, the other woman, said, if we have an emergency or anything, feel free to call her. She'd be willing to do something in an emergency as well. It's just, people are so nice. And honestly, spending 7 hours hanging out with people from the neighborhood was really wonderful. In addition, I know this is today's video, but we went out and went for a walk with a bunch of the neighbors this morning. And I don't want to go through everybody and all the people we talked to. It's just there's too many stories. But the value of relationships with people is just far beyond probably anything else we've done on this trip. So I think I'm really excited. It was just so lovely to get to chat with everyone, and the interesting thing is, like, none of the neighbors who we knew previously were at this block party, even though I don't know, there's like 5 of them who we have already interacted with, and they weren't there, so we got to meet a whole bunch of new people. So yeah, that's what we did yesterday. It was a successful day. We've got today and tomorrow to finish things up. So I will give you an update on how that's going in the next video. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.